Hello from me, Lazarus. Welcome to the next lesson in the course on creating a website from scratch. We are working on my second book, Creating a Website from Scratch. Currently, these are the free chapters from it, which you can download for free, and the ones in gray are the ones that are in the paid part. We are currently working on the ones from Chapter 10, which is here. Let's open the PDF file. Mathematical functions, min, max, calc and clamp. These mathematical functions, as a complete set, are coming to CSS 2019. Actually, the last of them clamp, and the others a little earlier, and allow for the creation of adaptive and responsive designs and elements. By allowing the use of mathematical expressions with subtraction, addition, multiplication, division as component values. I'm going to break this lesson down into 3 parts. In the first part, we will look at the min and max functions. The min function allows you to set the smallest value from a list of expressions separated by commas, as the value of CSS properties. The max function is similar, but allows you to set the largest value from a list of expressions as the value of CSS properties. Their syntax is as follows. Min, value 1, value 2, and on the second, max, value 1, value 2. Expressions can be as follows. Absolute units, for example 300 pixels. Relative units, for example 100% or 3VW. Combination between absolute and relative units, mathematical expressions and other functions. So they can be inserted into each other, where you get something very interesting, but this is much more complicated. Now I don't know if you'll be able to understand it. Parentheses can also be used to set the order of calculation. Thus, these functions can be applied in many situations where it is necessary to control given values within a certain range. Now, I've prepared an example here. I'm not going to show it on the browser. I was thinking of showing it, but it's exactly the same. Will you see it here? Now, it's about the following, so we've set the width of this block to be, to choose between a minimum of 30% and 240 pixels, and in this case 240 pixels was chosen because 30% is bigger. This is on a big screen. However, if we play on mobile, where 30% is less than 240 pixels, for example on a 480 pixel screen, a mobile phone, and then the selected value will be 30%, and it won't be. (240 pixels), because then it's smaller. So 30% of 480 is about 140 or so, actually 144, and that's the logic. So, actually set like this on larger screens, let's say, one value will be valid, and on smaller screens, the other value. So, that's the interesting thing about this function. I'll show you in a moment some more interesting things about it. The max function. There it is. In this case, for example, in her case 30% will be selected, because that's what I originally played on a screen, for example, which is, or on which its width is about 1000 px, actually 1024 px, so 30% here is more than 240. Right? And here it chooses the maximum. So, look, the two functions work completely differently. With equal values, this chooses the minimum value, this one chooses the maximum, which in this case is 30%, and in this case it's 240. And if we run them on mobile devices, it will be the opposite. That's right. And I have given another example here, with investment. Now here I'm going to show you something very interesting, which, so to speak, is like a huge bonus for you. No, I also showed an example of it here. Yes. This is a huge bonus for you, because it's part of what I'm working on right now, my new book on responsive design. And that's where I ran into a situation where I had to use the min function. Here's why. So that's what I'm working on. Right now I'm looking at this part that has text, image and title. Right, we have in these blocks, sections. And the question now is, how do we fit them into the range between -480 and 576 pixels? I'll explain very simply why I had to use the min function, because I was hesitating between two values. 2VW gave me a good position in the lower part of the range. The range here for my text is between 10 and 11 pixels and 0.6875 rem, or 11 pixels, gave me this, the good placement at the top. And that's exactly why the min function turned out to be most suitable, because at 10 pixels it chooses 2VW, and at 11 pixels it chooses the other way around, 0.6875 rem. And here's what this looks like in practice on the site. Here, you can see somewhere here it's already like this. Here at 11 pixels solid. So, here's a very interesting, real-life situation from last night, literally, in my work on my new book on responsive design, Master Techniques in Responsive Design, with which, life and health, I should be ready in a month and put it on the site. That's all for this lesson. Best regards.